most things have in common. These are all fears people have. What do you think the number one fear is? If you said death, you're wrong. The fear of dying is actually the second most feared thing. The number one fear is public speaking. So, statistically, I'd rather be dead than talking to you. Personally, I'm afraid of letting people down and failing them among a laundry list of other things. However, not until recently did I ask myself an attempt to answer why. So today I ask you not what you fear, but what is fear and why you're afraid of it. How can you overcome this fear? I can vaguely recount opening day of my freshman year. I remember being moved in by my cheery peers and my overwhelming fear of not fitting in. When school finally kicked off, I remember the immense amount of people who forced my older brother and me to share our life stories and familial connection of brother and sister love. Then in those moments, my fear was not living up to this image he had created for me. When he left last year, the shoes I thought were already too big grew, and I was left barefoot. Alone and cold, my fear again was filling into the huge shoes he left behind and attempting to make a name for myself aside from him. Not until last month did I think of this challenge as a gift rather than a curse. When asked by my new peers if I was Naeem's sister, yes, I was pretty frustrated, but it was okay because they put him on a pedestal. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Naeem's little sister. And I've always feared being in his shadow, and with all his achievements, I doubt this feeling will ever go away. However, by recognizing this fear, there are two questions I needed to ask myself and attempt to answer. One, who is Jasiras Swinton? And two, how great can she be? So I asked, who are you, and how great can you be? Growing up, I guess I was never really afraid of anything, aside from the nuisance of insects and heights. But when I was 8 years old and very much still a child, my best friend, Princess Inasia Thompson Hogan, died in a car accident on her way to a track meet. Then in that situation, my fear became death and moving on because she was very much a part of me and who I'd become. Today, in the same situation, my fear is stepping onto a track, court, or playing field and failing, because not only am I failing myself, I'm failing her and the dreams we once dreamt. Learning how the experience of others have shaped my life, how can my life shape the lives of others? How great would it be if we all had a goal to improve the lives of others? These are my fears. We all have them. But we must learn to use them to benefit us rather than allowing them to become detrimental to our improvement. In the movie Coach Carter, Timo Cruz, an inner-city student struggling to get his life together, is repeatedly asked by his coach what his deepest fear is. Towards the end of the movie, Timo says, "Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you." And as we are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Some of us find comfort in believing that we are limited by circumstances because it gives us an excuse not to try. If we tried and succeeded, then we have to live up to that success. We fear being noticed because then we have to be responsible for that. We are afraid of how people will respond to us, but most importantly, letting our own light shine may in fact be an act of change was extremely uncomfortable for some people. By being around others who shine with integrity, we feel the desire to do the same. Timo confesses his deepest fear in life. He knew what his deepest fear was, but he also knew he had to face it and be honest with it. Only then could Timo shine as the light he knew he was supposed to be. What would you do if given the task to eat an elephant? I mean, like, hypothetically. Would you be afraid that the task is too big, or would you eat it like everything else? One bite at a time. We allow our fears to overwhelm us when in fact we can take the fear task at hand and break it into smaller pieces. With each smaller piece, we can consume it one bite at a time and overcome such tasks. So rather than let a fear consume you, attack your fears the same way you attack things you don't fear. Will Smith put it best in the movie After Earth when he says, "Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may never exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. This quote makes you realize that when you really deconstruct fear, it is not real. Fear is all in our minds, based on our own thoughts and our own feelings about events that may or not ever happen. When we say not real, we mean something that cannot be physically seen. You can't say that one thing is the source or cause of fear because it's different for everyone. No, when we say fear is not real, we mean it's not something that exists in the world. It exists only in the minds of people who choose to experience it. In the film After Earth, although it's a fictional film, it shows how people are able to render themselves invisible to the attacking aliens by choosing not to feel fear. The aliens in the film sense fear, and they used to see people. By choosing not to feel fear, the characters were able to walk among the aliens invisible. So from Naeem, we may learn that in order to be fearless, you must attack whatever it is with enthusiasm. From Nasia, one may learn to mention such fears to people who motivate us and have our best interests at heart. From Tima, we learn to confess our intangible fears, even if that's fear itself. Our friends can all be examples of how we can overcome something. For instance, Maya's fears cease to exist and she appears fearless. Then there's Sanji, who faces his fears with laughter. With these lessons learned, we can adapt to anything thrown at us and the intangible things we all fear. When I run, I'm still afraid of the feeling that hangs over my head. But when I turn the last corner of a track and hear my dad's loud and powerful, "Move!" or Coach Cobb's, "Let's get it, Jasiras," I know I'm running for more than me. I'm running for people who believe in me. Let's help one another face our fears by setting these examples and pulling one another out of our fears, because fear is a choice. I can recall last year in a track meet, fan of another team say something he would later regret, because it fueled me. I bet some of you remember this story. Right before the anchor legs of the 4x4, Carolina Day School held a very small lead over us. Before receiving the baton from my teammate, the fan says to his teammate running against me, "That small gap is all you need." Already afraid that I may fail and risk the win for my team, I used his words to fuel me. Not only did we win, but that small gap got bigger, and instead of me being on the losing side of the line, I was far ahead of it. What made it better was that my energy became infectious. When I ran through the line, I screamed, "That small gap was all I needed," and continued through the remainder of the meet. The men's 4x4 began soon after, and I continued to recite the chant along with my teammates, and the men also won. My fears have helped me become a thermostat instead of becoming a thermometer. I've learned to improve the temperature of the room or area instead of improving the temperature of the room. I charge you not only to face your fears, but to find out who you are so you may learn how great that person can be and use that to improve the lives of the people around you. Go in peace.